Good afternoon and welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I'm your host for today, Michelle Dosbert, and as always, I'm super excited to be here with you. Today is the 1st of March. Time has gone by so quickly. I can't believe 2 months have already zoomed by. And today is the 1st of March, and it is Women's History Month. So get on board, right? Get on board. We hope that this is a platform that can create history for women. So we hope that this will be no different for us. We're excited that you guys took some time this afternoon to join us. Let me give you a little bit of background about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. It's all about creatively collaborating to connect and raise awareness about issues regarding women. And we do that to help level the playing field, if you will. And we do it through various different ways. We do it through our community service events. We mentor, we do public speaking, and we have our t-shirt line. We're going to talk about that a little bit at the end of the show today. And this platform, which is the media and the arts, we like this part because it gives us an opportunity to talk about the issues that impact us the most. Today is going to be a little lighthearted, but I think it's going to help a lot of people that have this burning, this yearning desire to get something out, but don't know how to do it. I've talked about this topic before. I thought it was worth bringing it back again with two other authors. I have one here in the studio with me here in Atlanta, and one coming all the way from New Orleans through Zoom. Yeah, so I want to introduce my guests. On Zoom, I have Kelly Bishop. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you all?
Oh, good. Thanks for joining us. And in Atlanta, I have Kenn Bivins. Hi, Kenn.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Thanks for joining us. Today's topic is a writer's story. I got two authors here. Got books here in the studio. Kelly's title is behind her. Yeah, she's holding it up. So let's kind of just jump in and talk about how did we get here. How did you guys... were you guys like readers when you were kids? I'm going to start with you, Kenn. How were you when you were a kid? Were you a reader when you were a little boy?
I was always a reader. It's Women's History Month, but give me a little bit of slack. So I grew up in a house full of girls.
Okay.
Six girls, an aunt, and a mom. So I started reading as an escape from that, you know. And so my form of reading was originally with comic books when I was around 3. Okay. But because of comic books and association of pictures to words, I read at an early age. I was an advanced reader because of comics. Okay. And my older sister, she was really big into reading. And I emulated her a great deal. My first novel was The Bluest Eye, her book, and the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Okay, that's good.
So those were my first two.
How old was your sister? How much older is she?
4 years older than
the
me.
Difference? Okay, so just enough to give you, she needed her own space, but she still created an influence on you in your life.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome, fantastic. Kelly, how about you? Were you a reader when you were a kid?
Yes, I was a reader when I was a kid, and kind of the trend that started when I was young has followed me even in my writing. I always liked short stories. I liked poised writing. I liked spirited writing. Okay. So Dr. Seuss was big with me because everything rhymed and the pictures were so vibrant, and it snapped in your spirit, and you're rocking with the story, and you're feeling what he's talking about, the green eggs and ham. And then as I got older, as a young adult, as a college student, I fell in love with Homer's Iliad. It really transformed my reading. And it started me to like really, really get into period pieces. Okay. So even now, if there's a movie about Greek and Trojan Wars and Game of Thrones, those kinds of things. So I think my love for Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey kind of transitioned me into liking period pieces, but I've always been a reader.
Always been a reader. When did you know you wanted to write, Kelly? When did you know? When did you wanted to take what you've read or just take ideas in your mind and then put it to paper?
Well, I can admit now that my book has been published, I didn't do it willingly.
Okay.
Because my story involved a lot, my book involves a lot of my personal journey.
Okay.
Because my book is entitled Destined for Greatness: How to Tap into Your God-Given Power and Purpose. So I share a lot of my journey on the way to my discovering my purpose. And so I had to share a lot of what I experienced. And a lot of it wasn't roses, wasn't really happy or pleasant. So I didn't really want to share those personal things. So 2 years I really struggled with, do I really want people to know that much about me? But then God would not let up. He said, someone needs to hear your story, and it's time. And so reluctantly, I became a published author.
Right.
It was not something that, I know I'm going to be an author. It was more of God pressing me to tell my story.
Yeah, oftentimes in order for inspiration to work, it typically has to come from maybe your own personal experiences. You have to be vulnerable and become transparent for people to kind of connect with you and become relatable, because then they say,
yes,
I've had that same experience. And so you are quite vulnerable, because I'm sure we're more of a conservative, like what I do is my business and nobody needs to know. But this whole writing thing, especially if you want to inspire or just kind of have a message for people, you have to like pull a veil, right, Kelly?
Is it layers? Layers. And I did not want to do it willingly. I tell you, I can admit it now. But the women and the men that come up to me now after having published my book and have read my book, just really, they say, I can't believe you experienced all of that. And look at you. That's a testament to how God has really just kept me and allowed me to get to this point. The second thing is they say, okay, if you experience that, you are an overcomer. You're victorious through all of that. And now look at you. You're so poised. You speak and you write and you inspire others. You coach others. There's a place for me. So having reluctantly said yes, pull back the layers and allow people to see the private parts of my upbringing and my young adult life and even my adult life, because it didn't get pretty until I went to print. It really was a struggle. So, I shared all of that, and just having the feedback of everyone just saying how it's touched them, and the authors that have said, I've been inspired to write my book after having read your book.
Yes.
And that's the purpose. And now I'm like, okay, great. I'm an open book. Now, whatever you want to know, I'll tell you now.
Okay, fantastic. So, Kenn, for you, when did you switch gears and say, you know what, I love reading, I love doing all this reading, but now I want to write? So when did that happen for you?
Probably as a teenager.
Okay.
So writing for me was cathartic and it was healing. I was that teenager full of angst because I didn't have a dad around and I was just angry. And so I journaled. And I journaled in such a layered way that sometimes it read like poetry, sometimes it read like stories.
Wow.
But that's always been, since then, has always been a part of me, not to share with anyone else. It just felt good to be able to express it.
Okay. So writing was just for you, and then you'd go back periodically and go back and read it. And how did that make you feel when you read your own writings?
So to read, when I think I was about 24, 25 when I first became a mentor. And so that was when I reached back to things that I'd already written, dealing with a kid who was post-suicidal and revisiting when I was in that same space. And just to see the growth and the things that I wasn't just saying to this young man, but I was able to demonstrate exactly where I was, and he could relate on that same level.
What authors inspire you?
Oh, right now, Ta-Nehisi Coates and Ralph Ellison. I'm working on a novel right now that is very rich in race issues, in terms of how men grieve. And so one of my favorite books of all time is Invisible Man. And I want to write something that's epic, like Invisible Man, and have the impact that it had on me on other young men when I finally finish it.
Finally, when you project it'll be done?
It will be released in the fall.
Okay.
Finished or not.
Finished or not, it's coming out. All right. So Kelly, for you, which authors inspire you today?
Well, most recently, it's been my pastor, because he has written a series directed towards Bishop R.C. Blake's. And he's written a series called Queenology and the Father-Daughter Talk. And what it has inspired me to do is he's a writer that is straight to the point, not a lot of fluff. And he gets straight to the point and tells it like it is. And inside of that, once you've gotten to me, he kind of lets you see how it's okay wherever you are in this journey. It's okay. Let's push forward.
Okay.
So he's really inspired me to write my book in such a way, and also to look forward to his next book, which is Kingology, because Queenology was such a hit that the men are like, "Hey, we're kings.
Yeah.
Can we hear from you?" So most recently, that's been my recent inspiration. But Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou, they've all inspired me as a young lady, a young woman, African American woman, really having a voice.
Okay. Kelly, talk to me a little bit about your book. Tell me a little bit about the book that you've written.
Okay, so again, the title is Destined for Greatness, How to Tap into Your God-Given Power and Purpose. And so I take the readers through the 7 stages that we encounter on the way to discovering our God-given purpose.
Okay.
Each of us were born specifically with a purpose. God knew our purpose in mind before we were born. It's our responsibility as we walk this earth to discover what that purpose is. Once we discover what it is, accept it. Once we accept it, we have to celebrate it, because I have a lot of clients who know what their purpose is, they've accepted it, they haven't celebrated it because it kind of affects some other areas in their lives.
Okay.
So they're kind of torn between, do I really want to do this or do I not? So we talk about contention. One of the chapters is entitled Contention. And that's where a lot of people are stuck, because you have to contend, meaning fight for your purpose. It's not something that's going to be easy for you to do.
Okay.
Most times it's something that's outside of the box for you. So I take the readers through the journey. And at the end of each chapter is a reflection question. And there's journal space, because it's not about me. It's really about the reader and where they are in their journey of purpose. So there's journal space for them to write their reflections. There's affirmations for whatever stage you're in. And there's also a prayer to kind of give you that seal to really, really understand that, okay, no matter what I've been through, no matter where I am now, I know that I have a God-given purpose and I can reach that purpose. So it's 7 chapters. I wrote a book that I would read myself.
Okay.
Sometimes I think authors, they get really stuck on the number of pages, the number of words, how thick the book is. If it's a hardback, if it's paperback, if it's an ebook. So I wrote a book that I would read. And my 92-year-old grandmother read my book in one sitting. She said she did not want to put it down because she felt like she would miss something if she did. So it's an easy read. It's straight to the point, but there's space for you to grow inside the pages.
Got you. Kenn, tell us about your book. Tell us what is your book about? Tell us.
So I have several books, but 6 books actually. So I have 2 novels that I wrote before I got into the most current series that I am promoting, which is 39 Lessons. 39 Lessons particularly came as a result of me celebrating parenthood and it being a milestone for my youngest turning 21. And so is both a tribute to my 2 sons as well as my goddaughter, espousing knowledge and experience that I had as a parent and things that I taught them that I can pass on. So it's a form of mentorship without having to manage a whole bunch of kids. But it's not just for children. For example, today is the first day of Women's History Month. And my second in the series was 39 Lessons for Girls. Initially, I had a group of young women that were in their 20s that read through the book. And the very first lesson got a few of them. In that it says something to them that they may not have necessarily heard from a parent, particularly from a male in their life. So
So we have 39 lessons for girls. Then we have 39 lessons for black boys and girls. My manager was station manager was asking, what about the boys? We got for the boys as well.
We have 39 lessons for boys. We also have 39 lessons for teens. So it's 4 books, only 2 here right now. And so it's a something for everyone.
It's almost like what is that? For your soul, food for your soul, chocolate
Yes,
soup,
chicken soup for your soul type thing.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
And you have different demographics that you're trying to hit. Do you have something for middle-aged people? Something to think about.
That may be coming. Well, see, so middle-aged people like to read novels. So I have this for women, 39 lessons in the form of Lona Mabel. And my first book was more suspense and action, and it was geared more toward men, read like a TV show. So something for everybody.
Well, why so many books? Why do you feel you need to be an author at this point in your life?
So just like when I was a teenager and it was cathartic and it was therapy, I still need therapy.
Okay.
And I see that everybody kind of needs something. But what's most important to me is wanting to see myself in what I read. And so my publishing company, Invisible Ink, has everything to do with that very thing. Not only having a message written in invisible ink that we as Black people have not gotten, but also being able to look in those pages and see ourselves. Like I said, Invisible Man has always been my favorite novel. Within Invisible Man, one of the quotes that jumps out is when the character is declaring that he's not invisible. He says, I am invisible, understand, simply because people refuse to see me. And so that's kind of the spirit that I want to evoke in my stories, is that you are seen.
You are seen. You're important. You're valid. All of those good things. Was it difficult, Kelly and Kenn, to publish your book? Kelly, I'll ask you, was it difficult, especially since this was your first one? You know, as an author, a new author, I know there's a lot of questions you probably had. How do you go? How do you get it to print? How do you publish it? Was it difficult for you?
Well, one of the things that I found was I've been a speaker for a while, and I've been a life coach for almost 2 years now. So my brand was already out.
Okay.
So I knew that when I authored my first book, it had to match my brand. It couldn't be something that looked like I went down to the Kinko's and copied. It had to be in the spirit of excellence.
Right.
So I invested in a writing coach because I wanted to make certain that everything was done top of the line. And having done that, I published through my writing coach's publishing company, and it's just been tremendous. Every coach knows the importance of having a coach. And so it was important for me, it being my first novel, really when I thought I was going to write my first book, I thought it would be about something else.
Okay.
But when I sat down and put pen to the paper, it was really more about purpose than the story I thought I was going to write. So it was important that I had someone guiding me through the process. So having someone there, that accountability there, checking in when I'm doing my writing time, making certain that I stuck to my writing time and finished and on time. But it was almost 2 years that I wrestled with the idea of writing. So I actually completed my manuscript in 7 days.
Wow.
Because it was a challenge that, because I've been carrying it, it's almost like a baby. I call it my first baby.
Right.
When it was time to birth, I just pushed and it came. So I was able to sit and complete my manuscript in 7 days.
Wow.
But the cover design was all my idea, the color scheme, the way I wanted the books. Yes, I wanted journal space inside at the end of each chapter. Yes, I wanted questions. I wanted affirmations. So I had the freedom and the liberty to design the way that I wanted to.
Okay.
But I had to make certain that when the book was released and when I launched my first book signing, it had to match a brand, my brand that was already out. Everyone already knew me as an empowerment speaker and a minister and an elder in ministry and having worked in full-time ministry. For me to say that I was publishing my first book, there was an expectation that it would match who I've already presented myself to be.
Kenn, how about for you? Publishing your first book, was it difficult? A walk in the park? How was it for you?
And so I come from a background of working in an agency, advertising agency.
Okay.
And being an illustrator, everything has always been very visual for me. And so I had this idea of what things should look like. My previous understanding of self-publishing before I did it was lackluster quality, shiny covers where the text is all uneven, and I didn't want to be that. And looking at traditional publishing in the sense of you find an agent and you get published with Random House or whatever. Right. I learned early on the business side of that is you're in a lot of places, but you're not necessarily paid. You're popular, but you're not paid. And so that was ultimately why I chose not to continue going that route, but to do it myself. And with that in mind, I wanted my books to look and feel like they were published by a Random House. And so getting there was difficult because what I wanted to do wasn't just about what it looked like, it had to be an experience. And so, the legal side of things, getting permission to use quotes, to use song snippets, making sure that I'm registered right, BISAC codes, Library of Congress, like all of that stuff. I thank God for the internet and Google. So it's been a trial and error. But, and of course, there's also the advertising side. The hard part is not writing the book. The hard part is letting the world know that the book has been written.
Right.
What suggestions or tips you would give someone who wanted to have their book published? What would you tell them? What's the first thing they would need to do?
First, write the book. But that starts with at least having an idea of what you want to write. I say outline. Outline for a lot of people is scary because it sounds like homework.
It is,
But an outline is simply a map of where it is you're going. You don't get in the car, in most cases, and just go somewhere. You have an idea. Even if it's just a road trip of exploring, you have an idea kind of, well, I don't want to go where it's rainy, I want to go where it's sunny or what have you. And so even loosely, you have an idea of what you want to write. I tend to write very strict outlines. The book that I am working on now was a 17-page outline. I spent 3 months so that I could actually enjoy writing it. But even with nonfiction, kind of having an idea of what it is you want to write about just saves a lot of headaches and starting something and not finishing it. Because as an artist, oftentimes we start something on canvas and don't feel inspired and it ends up in the closet. And a lot of people have books like that where they start a bunch of books and they just never get done because they didn't know where they were going and they were going off of emotion, and emotion does not sustain when you're writing something.
Say that again, Kenn. Say that part again.
Emotion does not sustain you writing a book or painting a painting or even being in a relationship. You've got to have something a bit more than that.
You do. And maybe that's what is needed to help differentiate between writing a book and journaling, right? Because journaling is an expression too, and some people journal every day. And so I think maybe people have to really think about that if they really want to become an author, that it's going to take a little bit more structure, a little bit more rigor, endurance to become an author, to get those thoughts out, because it's not driven by emotion, right? It has to have, and we're dealing with outline, 17-page long outline. Is that what I heard you say? 17 pages? 17
pages in 3 months. But I know how I'm going to write. I know the beginning, middle, and end. And I can get to know my characters along the way. So it's not so rigid that the story can't change.
Right.
You know, from A to Z, there's a whole lot that can happen in between there. So there's still room for the character to say, well, I don't want to do this, I want to do
You
that.
can switch it up.
But you still ultimately know where you're going to go
Yeah.
in the end.
Right. Kelly, for you, because you're a coach and you were saying that people know you and your brand, I would assume that by you having this book, you're doing even more speaking, correct?
Yes.
Right. So that's the encouragement for some others. So people that speak typically should have a book to kind of go with
Yes.
it, because once you leave that moment from speaking, they need to take a part of you with them.
That is
Maybe part
correct.
of your story, right? Right, Kelly? Go ahead.
That is correct. And speaking, you have a limited time that you're able to speak. So
Right.
you can't cover everything. You won't be able to talk about every single thing or every part of your story. But the book allows them to take that piece, that product home with them, and at their leisure and whenever the time permits, for them to read more about you, for them to learn more about you, for them to hear more about your story, and for them to hear about your journey and what it took for you to get to the point where you are. Yes, I've been a speaker. I've been speaking publicly inside and outside of the church 15 years now. So now having the book, I'm, of course, being called upon to speak about being an author
Right.
and published author and what it would take for me to write my book. I was a guest last week on another show talking about writer's block, what to do when the words stop. So it's important, and exactly what you say, Ken. When you have to be committed,
Right.
sacrificed. Times when you want to be doing other things and you know you should be writing, take discipline. So the emotion will leave quickly. The excitement about, oh, I'm writing my first book, after you've written the first chapter, will probably leave you.
Yeah.
So it has to be bigger than. You have to know why you're writing it, the message you want to convey to your readers, and how important it is for you to complete this project. What was important for me to do was to have a picture of myself in my writing space to remind me. And right above my picture, I had the words, "It's time. Someone's waiting to hear your story." So it was my motivation in those days when I sat in my writing space and said, okay, here we go. It's writing time. I looked up and said, let's go, Kelly, you got to do this. So it's important for a speaker, inspiring a life coach, or even those that are entrepreneurs. It's important for you to have a product, a book, something that your clients, your customers, your supporters can have to learn more about you, more about your brand and your story, your journey, and for them to see the backstory of how you got to where you are today. Because I think it's important. Internet has us fooled that you just wake up one day and everything happened. There was no struggle, there was no trial, there was no failures, there were no hidden misses, there were no missteps, there were no mistakes. The internet has us fooled with that.
Yeah.
But what the book does is it gives them a glimpse into, this was not a not so pleasant time in my life. This was not such a, roses and sweet smelling journey.
Right.
But I overcame all of that to fulfill my purpose, and I'm excited about my future. So that's why it was extremely important for me to make certain that I had something as they left the venue or as they left the conference or wherever they were, that they were able to take my book home with them and say, okay, let me learn more about this lady.
People are nosy. People are nosy anyway, right? They want to know more about you. They see the surface. You look pretty well put together, and they want to know, how did you get there? What did you do to get there? So people are nosy. So it's inquisitive. People are just inquisitive. There's a flux of autobiographies out. Like, everybody has a story that they have to tell. And then you have people like myself. I'm speaking to the ones that are maybe fearful or feel like, this story has already been told. Nobody's really going to listen to my story. What is it about me and what I've done that makes it so different? And I think that's some of our challenges for some of us that should be writing, right? Because
Right.
of who we are and what we're trying to do, right? If we are a brand or an entity, as you said, an entrepreneur, if we had a struggle, if we came from a particular demographic, whatever
Yes.
the case is, like we have this story we should tell. And I think it seems a little bit overwhelming today that everybody's got something to say, right? Everybody's writing or putting it in. And I'm gonna talk about my next thing in a second. So hold that smile in just a second. So for you, Kenn, I want to ask, do you feel that the art of writing is going away? Do you feel it's as pure as it was when you started at 19? Or do you feel like people like me will wake up one day and say, I want to be an author? Do you think the integrity of writing has diminished?
No, I actually think that writing has become more prominent. It's in invisible spaces that you aren't even aware.
Gotcha.
I mean, every product that you buy, every package that you look at, there's writing. We're in a political season. All of the speeches, those are written.
Yes.
All of the ads that are running for products, for politics, it's outside of books. Even reality shows. I mean, they're not really reality. They're outlines and to go alongside actual movies and TV shows. So there's much more of a platform in different platforms to express writing. So I actually think because of the internet, it's grown. There's a lot more places, to fit in. Blogging, video blogging,
There's room. So there's room. So it is expanded. So now, I guess now we have to unlock our minds to not think that it has to be necessarily in a book per se, but we can write and express our ways in different other platforms, which I never really even thought of it that way.
Absolutely. And everybody has a different experience. You know, one of the things that's hard about writing for me is I'm in my own lane. And it didn't exist before I created it. And so what that does is there's no one way to do it right and there's no one way to do it wrong. And there's a lot of failure with that. But because I'm in my own lane, not only can I ride alongside and support other authors because I'm not competing with them, I also can be inspired and read other things, but still do my thing.
What are your thoughts about Audible?
Audible is really up and coming. And so if you travel at all or if you live in a commuter city, Audible is everything. You know, in more rural areas and even here in Atlanta where it's not as much of a commuter city, we think of Audible and it's like, well, that's like cheating reading. But actually it's not. And it's up and coming. I mean, if you have a book and you really want to reach a greater audience, you want an audiobook. I did BookCon a couple of years ago before I had an audiobook with my first novel. And I had a bunch of people come up to me and say, is it on audio? Because they're vision impaired or they're constantly commuting and that's how they get their words in. And, you know, it's definitely a platform and a medium that's huge.
I'm an Audible subscriber. I
am too.
joined when Michelle Obama did her book, and that was 18 hours of listening to her. And so now I'm kind of a junkie, so I did quite a few last year. I did like 25 books on Audible last year. And so I feel like I don't let a week go by, definitely not 2 weeks, that I'm not out looking for a book. And not necessarily fiction, but maybe entrepreneurial,
you
finances.
get smart.
I get smarter.
Got friends to talk to you.
Yeah. It's really dope. So I'm like, yes, I want to read, but I was not a reader. Like I was a person that you sat down, I read because I had to, but I didn't read things that really necessarily made me want more of it. I read because I wanted to. I'm a good listener. And so when I have the person who is narrating the book that they wrote, that draws me in even more. I feel like there's more of a connection and I get everything that they're saying. And so, for me here in Atlanta, it's not necessarily always being in the car. I tell people you could do it. You can listen to a book while you're doing domestics at home. So like while I'm cooking or I'm washing clothes or doing things around the house is a great opportunity to invest an hour or so to just listen and get a couple of chapters in. So that's why I asked, do you feel that the art is dying? Kelly, what is your viewpoint on Audible? People are asking you, are you on Audible with your book, right?
Yes. They, after ebook, the second question is it on Audible?
Yes.
For that very reason.
Yeah.
And I think Audible is beginning to be more popular because we're such multitaskers now, just as you said. We want to be doing more than one thing at a time, whether it's commuting and listening, whether it's doing housework and listening, whether we're in waiting on someone and we're sitting in the space, waiting on the children in the parent pickup line, whatever it is. You say, okay, I can fill this space with something. So Audible comes in and says, okay, you can fill this space with a couple of chapters from your most recent author. So I think Audible is definitely something that's becoming more popular because of the time crunch we have now. We're trying to fit more things into the day, but we don't want to really get away from the things that we like. So we're trying to figure out how can we fit this in with our daily schedule and our weekend schedule and still be able to enjoy listening and reading the book.
My ears are phenomenal. Without it, I think I wouldn't be smart because I take in information by hearing and not necessarily always reading or watching. But sometimes it's just hearing. So it's podcasts, it's listening to shows, it's listening to books, it's listening. So I just hope my hearing never leaves me alone. Kelly, for you, is there another book inside of you? Do you have another book brouhahaing in your spirit?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Actually, because of the feedback that I received from my first book, I'm working on a companion. A lot of it took my readers through uncovering some layers, just as it did with me.
Yeah.
So they were really touched by the journal space, the reflection questions, and the affirmations.
Okay.
So most of the feedback has been, we love what you did at the end of each chapter. Can you do a book with just that?
Okay.
And so I'm working on a companion to go with the book because of the feedback that I've received. And also, as I've gone out to speak, the group and individual coaching that I've done, coaching those through discovering their God-given purpose, and also aspiring authors, coaching them through becoming published authors. I want to kind of really, I'm calling it a journal, but it's more like a workbook.
Okay.
You're really going to get down into the book. Again, my book is short, sweet, and to the point. But the journal will be more exhaustive. The workbook will be more exhaustive for them to really set aside some time and to work through those things they're hearing, where they are in their journey, what their next steps are, if they get stuck, what to do next, giving them the tools that they really need to celebrate, accept, and really walk in their purpose. That's my purpose.
Okay.
Helping others discover what their purpose is. I've always been the go-to person. I've always been a person that was inspirational and motivational and empowerment. And just as you see me now, I'm like this at midnight. I'm like this in the morning. Well, kind of not morning person.
Not a morning person.
But once you get me, you got me. And everybody's like, you're always so up. I just love life, and I love what's presented before me, and I want everyone to be able to see that because you woke up, you're breathing, you have work to do. And let's pray that it's connected to your purpose so that you can really be fulfilling what it is you were put on this earth to do. So yes, I'm working on a companion to my book. The book that I thought I was going to write the first time. I don't know if I'm going to quite touch it yet.
Okay.
Because I've had some discussion about that. And so I'm going to wait a little while on that one. But I'm definitely working on a companion to this book.
You're busy because...
But it's my baby.
You're busy.
You know how you have your first child? Can you maybe answer this? And you're kind of looking at the little bundle and you're really still excited about the baby. And you don't really want to move on to the next one because this one is still feeling like, okay, you just started walking and now you're eating solid food. I mean, my book is getting so much traction in the city and was just featured as for Black History Month as an African-American author in one of the bookstores not in the metropolitan area, but on outlying areas. And that was very exciting for me because it just shows me how my book is really moving forward. So kind of don't want to jump to the next one so quickly because
No.
I've been getting such great feedback.
No, but you got to, because you got to
Honestly.
strike. You got to strike the iron while it's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It
got
took
to.
you
Yes,
7
I
days.
understand. But see, as a speaker, everybody wants to hear about this book.
Well,
So I
yeah.
understand that. Trust, I got that point. So my date is this summer to release a companion.
Okay.
The summer.
But it wasn't as quickly as everybody is.
You said it took you.
You're chomping at the bit like, come on, Kelly.
You said it took you 7 days to write this book.
Yes.
You got. It's the summer is like months from
But
now.
now you can get
need to
one-
just
Yes,
get it.
because I have things.
You can get it out.
I already have
Come on,
engagement.
Kelly.
I understand. I understand.
Come
I
on.
understand.
Come on. Don't be.
And the-
Listen. You got to move on. This is what God is telling you. He's setting you up for the next one. So that's a good one. You got to birth this next one. You got a couple of children and you got to birth out.
Oh yes.
So you got to get it out. So this is a series. So basically, you have enough to do a workshop series with your books and the company documentation or books you're going to do with it. So you got it. Don't stand in your own way, Kelly.
I agree. I agree.
Let me ask you, Kenn. Let me ask you this. Did you ever envision your books becoming like a screenplay, like maybe for one of your novels? Are you thinking along the lines of that?
Yeah, so I'm working right now. I'm working on 2 novels, one for the fall, so this will have The Wedding and Disaster of Philona Mabel. There will be a sequel to that. I'm not sure when that will be released, but with this, there is I have to be careful of what I say.
Okay.
This may be a television series.
Okay.
I'll just say that.
All right.
So that's something that I definitely am working toward. And then I like the idea of movies as a platform. And so definitely the novel that I'm working on right now, as I'm writing it, I'm considering how that's going to break down of being on the screen. So it's inevitable. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Any
Great.
hope for the 39 lessons? Do you see that that's being something that's visualized on?
39 Lessons was on the premise as it's grown to be similar to the Chicken Soup for Your Soul series. So I've written the first 4. I'm done. But the series isn't done. And so my plan is, because this is centered around family, is to find people who are subject matter experts to write the next 3, 4, 12. So it will continue. It'll be maybe one for singles, maybe one for divorcees. Who knows?
Yeah. There's so much that you could write.
Yes.
Kelly, what's next for you? Are you speaking, engaging? You have your coaching, life coaching.
Yes.
You're ministering. Your smile is so bright. You're just excited about
All
life.
three. All of them.
Everything is going well.
Yes. Speaking, book signings, of course, conferences, and looking forward to doing some things with my sorority, featuring and during the literary fairs, also coaching. I really have this passion for getting other people to move forward and really do what it is they were created to do. So I'm leading a group of visionaries, entrepreneurs, and aspiring authors that said 2020 is their year. And so I am their coach, holding them accountable. They have homework we meet, taking them through starting your business the right way, registering with the Secretary of State, acquiring your EINs, opening bank accounts, finance side, the business side, everything. Not really just bootlegging and doing it the other way, but really setting your business up for a future. And I'm excited about that. And of course, speaking and working on that companion that we talked about.
The book, the
So
companion book.
I've been pretty busy.
You are busy, and you're going to stay busy because the work is coming. Because, again, we struggle with purpose. We struggle with understanding why we're here. How do we maneuver through this thing called life? We carry these bags. We don't know how to let them go. Then we have fear on how to become this entrepreneur. How do we step out? How do we break generational curses? There's so much going on with us as human beings, and so I oftentimes there's not enough coaches, or coaches are really busy, coaches and therapists, are busy, just trying to help us get these stories out and deal with
Yes.
our inadequacies and really be comfortable with who we are and what we've done. I think sometimes
Yes.
we beat ourselves up a little too hard, and we need to get out of that stigmatism, that mindset, and just appreciate the
do.
now and move forward. So Kelly, how can people find your book? How are you on? Are you Audible yet? Not Audible yet, right?
Not Audible yet, but I'm definitely on Amazon.
Amazon. All
It's
right.
on Amazon, yes.
Nice.
And it's on my website.
Mm-hmm.
If you order from my website, I can autograph it and send them an autograph copy of my book. You know, I'm still excited. I still autograph each copy, put a little bookmark in there. It's so exciting. So I write a little message to the reader. So they can find me on Instagram as well, Kelly Bentley Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, same thing, Kelly Bentley Dixon. I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter, all of your social media platforms. So my website, you can find more information about me. There's an assessment if you're thinking about coaching, maybe your thing. There's a 10-question assessment that you can complete. They send the results to me. I contact you, and if it's something, because coaching is a co-creative process. You have to really commit to doing the work. I can recommend, suggest all of the things under the sun, but until you actually put in the work, then you will see your vision manifest.
Gotcha.
So there's information there where you can fill out a form, do a short assessment. I also have T-shirts that say "I am destined for greatness."
Nice.
Because sometimes, we have to remind ourselves and those around us, no matter what you see and where you see me now, I am destined for greatness, and I will reach it. So I have a T-shirt line as well. So I'm excited. I'm just excited about touching as many people as I can, and also knowing that my audience, who's connected to me, speaking to my audience, speaking to those that hear my voice and the message that resonates with them. My vision is not skewed as to think that, okay, everyone's gonna love my book, and everyone's gonna take my coaching program, and everyone's gonna wanna hear me speak. But I'm really honed in on those that have connected with the story, those that really have a desire to discover their purpose and are really serious about moving forward.
Yes.
Because you can tell me all day long, yeah, I'm really what my purpose is. But then I send you your first assessment, or I send you your first homework assignment, and then it's cricket. I say, you're not really serious.
You're not ready.
For those that are engaged, I tell you, we have a good time. They don't like me in the beginning, but at the end, we're celebrating.
Awesome. Awesome. Kenn, how about you? What's going on with you? What's next for you?
Novels.
That was a loaded question.
finishing this novel. This novel is emotionally challenging because when I originally concepted it a few years ago, I wasn't in the space that I'm in now, and I'm actually living what my character is going through. It addresses how men grieve and societal and personal forms of mental illness like depression and Alzheimer's disease. And so, having now immersed in that scenario, it's taking a little bit more pulling out of me to create. So I'm excited. I'm excited to finish because I just want to be done with it. But at the same time, I know that it's going to be healing for a lot of people. It's going to make a huge difference, especially with a male audience that I'm going after really strongly with this one when I do my book tour. So I did a book tour with Philona Mabel, 75 plus cities, and it's mostly women. And I'm like, what do we as men have? What do we? So I want to impact that movement somehow, getting more men to be upfront about reading. It's not that we don't read, it's just kind of like on the low.
On the low. And it's about creating a space, Kenn, where men can feel comfortable to express themselves, because women, we've created those spaces, even if it's just through this talk show podcast. We connect, we build, because we know there's strength in numbers, and we're okay. We take our vulnerability, we're allowed, we'll just be open to just share, because we feel that there's somebody else that, one, can help us, or two, is going through the same thing. But with men, it's a strength thing. And I think that sometimes for guys, they feel like if I show any signs or forms of weakness or the things that I've gone through, that people are going to mark me off as a weaker vessel, a weak man, and I just don't want that. And then oftentimes when we do take off our clothes and we're vulnerable in that state, what is the next step to move forward? How do we resolve that hurt? How do we move forward? How do we resolve the problem? So if you can create those types of settings where men can feel at least comfortable to have the dialogue, that would be awesome, because I think those are the things that we need, those conversations we need to just have healthy relationships all the way around, right? So not only we're learning as individuals, you're putting in the work for yourself, Ken, and so am I, and so is Kelly, and just understanding that we got to work within ourselves first before we put these demands on trying to be happy with anyone else.
Absolutely.
And so I think women, we're just nurturers. We try to, maybe we're nosy, but we want to know. Curious. We want to know what it is that we should be doing. What could we do? Especially if we love our men, what can we do to help them? So I think that even though you're gearing towards a male audience, I think women are going to want to peek in and read it, and just to get understanding, just to be a support mechanism for our men in our culture and in our society. Yeah.
Much needed.
Much needed, right, Kelly? Much
needed. Please finish.
Yeah, please finish. I want to read that, and then I want an Audible.
Yeah, this book will definitely be on Audible.
This
book
Audible
will be read by the author for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. And the timeline for that one is at the end of this year? Or?
It'll be the fall.
The fall. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, Ken. That's going to be great. 75 city book tour. Interesting. How were you able to do that? Just for those interested in doing crafting that.
So I don't have a team. It's just me.
Okay.
Hopefully that's changing. But with coming from the projects, coming from the street, I use street knowledge, and so quick little study was I use social media. I would reach out to a book club in some other city, and I'd say, hey, I got this book, and it's for women, and it's really great. And if you have 25 or more people in your book club, I'll come to you and I'll speak to your book club.
Wow.
And so they would say yes. Once they said yes, let's say that they're in Austin, Texas. So then once they say yes and we set a date, then I'll find in that area 5 to 10 other groups that I can visit that same weekend. And so that's essentially how it happened. I set it up, and so yeah.
Book sales are good when you do that, when you go and you speak?
Ultimately, it worked really well because they were buying my book, and then when I would show up, they'd be curious about other stuff that I'd done. So yeah, it was a lot of love shown. It was really fun. I was just envious to see that women got this whole thing going on that Oprah popularized like 20 years ago. We need something like that, and so that's ultimately. I'm not going to be the only guy doing this, but I definitely want to join with some brothers in word to get more men, young men, older men to sponsor and participate in book clubs. Yeah.
And don't shy away from us, some of us female organizations. We don't have to be the face, but we can support behind the scenes and getting it in the right hands and to the right people. Because for some of us, even though this is all about Real Chicks Rock, we do have men that support us. And so we want to be able to extend that hand to you guys, to you too, Ken. So whenever you're ready, just let us know how we can help you get the word out, get those books out to people. Because that's very important, because reading is fundamental.
And it's fun.
And so it creates authors and things like that. Kelly, how can people find you? Where can people find you?
Well, of course, I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Of course, like we know. Oh.
I had to tell you.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll be here. I'm always in and around the city. And of course, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My website, inspiredpurposecoaching.com. You can find my book on Amazon as well.
Okay, great.
Destined for Greatness.
Hold that up.
How to tap
pretty.
into your God-given power and purpose.
Beautiful.
You look like your picture.
Yeah, you do. That's a nice one. That was
important to me. I didn't want to look foreign when I showed it to my book side. They were like, "Who's that?"
That's a nice one. Kenn, how can people find you?
So the golden ticket to find me is to spell my name right. It's KENN, BIVINS. So if you enter that in Google, you'll find me on my websites, on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook. I am fairly active on Facebook and Instagram. I also have a newsletter where I'm active every week. So I'm all over. Just look me up on Google and I'll pop up and we can be friends. And also I'll say to people who are working on their novel, nonfiction, who are thinking about it. Chinua Achebe, he's another one of my favorite writers. He brought to my attention an African proverb that I love that says, "Until the lion learns to write, the hunter will always be glorified." And so essentially what that is you have to tell your own story. Don't wait for other people to tell your story because it's probably not going to glorify you.
Awesome, Kenn. That's a nice way to end that. I want to thank you guys both for joining me today and just being transparent about your love of writing. A writer's story was the topic for today. Thank you so much. For all of you guys that are watching, yes, thank you for joining us. You guys know where you can find me. I am everywhere. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and that's realchicksrock.com for the website. Yeah, the shirts, you see it. You see it. Yes, we are launching the t-shirts, relaunching t-shirts tomorrow. A little different. I got V-necks, but we took it old school. We took it classic. So yeah, the people have spoken and said, I don't always like a V-neck. So, okay, we're relaunching them. So go to the website tomorrow or today. You can pre-order today, but we're officially launching it tomorrow. And in honor of Women's History Month, use the code WMS2020. And we got you on these shirts, okay? And you'll get a little discount, a little something on that. But please use that code as we're promoting for Women's History Month. We want to make and create history, so help us to do that. We got you on those shirts. Thank you guys so much. Subscribe, like, follow, put comments in the show for today. Until next time, thank you both. You guys take care and continue to rock on. Bye.